Hello, my intrepid 102ers. How the hell are you this fine day? Night, morning, afternoon? Well, as I've told you before, I script these things during the week. I film and edit them sometime on Friday. I release them to you early Monday morning. When or if you actually watch these things is totally on your schedule. So when is the best time for you to watch these? I don't know. Personally, if I were in your shoes, I'd probably put it on in the morning just to get it out of the way. Anyway, I'm rambling. Anyway, as always, here's the weekly announcement. As you may or may not have read in, the times that I've posted it before, please make sure to read all the way through it. All the necessary information for the week, all the links for the week are right here for you to see. It should be posted very clearly on the opening page of our class. It should also be emailed to your Delaware Tech email. So really, you have no excuses. Let's get back to the main page and then see the course schedule by going over here to the right, clicking on it, and boom, scrolling all the way down to week number 5. Hey, look, there it is. Oh, wait, no, we're week number 6 now. Holy mackerel, we're just going really fast. In any case, as you can see, we're talking about the beginning of CSET, which hopefully you guys should have learned about this in English 101. There's 2 documents to look through, and then there's the single homework assignment, which is another organizer. But let's dive into CSET now. So, in What is CSET? Boom. We introduce, or if you had me or other teachers like me in 101, reintroduce the idea of source material integration into your writing. Well, integration and into your writing are the same thing, so I'm just kind of repeating myself. But in any case, it's a 4-step process known as CSET. Very quickly, a little history. I think every English instructor has their own way of teaching students how to integrate their source material, because we've all seen how terrible it can truly be. Whether you, the student writer, just copies and pastes the material from the source, there really isn't a lot of integration. It's just slap this in and move on. It never works. So instructors like Dr. Bill Lewis from the University of Delaware created a catchy and pithy way to explain the steps needed to really work in your material. My own method also had 4 steps which were practically identical to this, but I named mine the Shun method. That's a story for another time. Anyway, knowing that pretty much every English teacher has had a version of this method, what is it? Well, as you can see here, CSET stands for Claim, Setup, Evidence, and Tie-in. It prevents you from just smacking the material in and moving on, like I said earlier. It weaves the external references and your own ideas together to create a readable paper. So, let's chat about each section really quickly, shall we? Claim is literally what you are trying to prove within the section that you're writing. Sometimes it's usually, not sometimes, it's the topic sentence, the first sentence in a paragraph that tells your reader exactly what the remainder of the paragraph will include. So every paragraph should have one claim. That's it, okay? Now, the claim might be actually more focused by being a subpoint of the paragraph, but usually it's that initial topic sentence, one claim per paragraph, off you go. The claim will show your reader what you're trying to prove, and they will assume that what follows will provide the source to prove it. Then we get into the setup, and that's literally the material to introduce your source material to the reader. It usually includes the source material's main rhetorical information, and that is the source material's author and title, as well as the year of publication, and usually the thesis statement. After that, you can add whatever else you really want to fully flesh out and understand the credibility of that source. You can add the currency, which I said, the year of publication or update, the author's education or employment credentials, or even the source material's credibility. Like if you got it from the New York Times or the Washington Post, you can explain that those organizations have been around for a very long time and have won several prestigious awards. This is why where many writers choose to establish the beginning of the citation by dropping the author's name and the year here. Evidence, well, that's the real easy part, because you've done this one over and over since junior high. This is where you either provide your direct quote or, better yet, your paraphrase of the material. It's a very smart idea to use paraphrases more than direct quotes, because with a paraphrase, you can direct your ideas in your own words rather than going back and forth with another author's direction and wording. Your goal is to explain the material in your own words so that your reader can see cohesiveness throughout your paper. Finally, we have the tie-in, which, in my opinion, is the most important part of this process. Now, I used to call it explanation in my method, but it's literally the exact same thing. How does this material connect to the thesis that you've established and the overall flow of your paper as a whole? How does this specific paraphrase or direct quote, but let's face it, it should be a paraphrase, affect the argument of your paper, and why was it important enough to include within the explanation of the point set forth in the claim? Basically, why did you choose the material you did? Why is it so important, and why should I care? Okay? Now, many of you who haven't used CSET before just slap a quote in and move on before complaining that there's no way that you can make the page length requirement. Now, if you actually take the time and run your quote or paraphrase through CSET or my Shun method, same thing, there's no way you won't make that minimum length. Instead of a 1 or 2 sentence quote, you're now adding a minimum of 4 sentences onto each instance. It's awesome. Truly. On the next page I want to look at, writing samples with and without CSET, it's literally just an example of how much of a difference it really makes. Now, yes, you can look at this and just see very clearly, like, hey, look, there's paragraph 1. We have a direct quote. We have a citation. We have another direct quote. We have another citation. That's kind of what a lot of writers do. They just kind of start slamming quotes together, and that's it. But down here, we have our introduction. We have our claim here. We have our setup getting into it. We have our evidence. And then we have a little explanation here. Then we have our setup again. We have more evidence. And then we have our grand tie-in. Obviously, the second paragraph is easier to read because it used CSET. Now, there is an example here that you can go through and see how everything breaks down. And you can see here by using CSET, you would have this green part as the only thing that you're going to put in your paper. But adding the claim, the evidence, and then, holy crap, look at this tie-in. That's pretty awesome. Now, they have one here that you can see with the claim being burgundy, I guess. The setup being blue, and you can see here there's 2 setups. The evidence being green, and you can see there's 2 greens, or 2 pieces of evidence, right? And then the tie-in is purple. And holy mackerel, look at all that purple. That's fantastic. But honestly, there's another one that I like a little bit better. 2 of my colleagues put this together, and the only thing I really have a problem with is the fact that they used pink and purple. Because then when I tell people that the claim is in pink, they're saying, no, it's not, it's in purple. It's not purple. That's pink. That's purple. No, that's royal. I don't care. I'm a guy. I don't know the difference between colors. That's pink, that's blue, that's green, that's purple. Look, that's how it is. Just live with it. In any case, the claim is right here. It's going to show you exactly what this entire paragraph is going to be about. And then they even explain to you, again, what a claim should do. Then they show you the setups. Well, look, Gershoff 2018, author, year. And we have that lovely verb, right? The argues that, explains, argues, explains that. We go back and forth. Perry now down here because we're using a second source, right? So we have these setups, and then we can go right into the evidence. Hey, look, there it is. And here is the end of the citation. Here's more evidence, end of citation. Here's more evidence, end of citation. Again, more evidence, end of citation. Then we go in with a little bit of a tie-in, a little bit of a tie-in, and because it kind of explains the 2 things in one, I'm sorry, the word thing is terrible. It doesn't really get you to think. So, here we have 2 pieces of evidence back to back because they work in the same way, and then we have a nice, meaty tie-in afterwards. See, it's so much better than saying thing. But we have explanations as to why this works, and honestly, I think it's a much better example than the one that you have on Brightspace. Okay, so let's chat about the lone assignment this week. The Unit 2 Comparative Writing Graphical Organizer. And just click on this link. It'll take you to this page. Then as you can see here, all I want you to do is download this and fill it out. Clicking on this opens this. You should be used to it by now. We've already used it once or twice in different ways. So as you can see, Unit 2 Comparative Research Essay Planner. And you're going to fill these out just like you did before. Use the white boxes. I don't know why people tend to type in the gray. Use the white boxes here. So what is the general topic you have? What is your preliminary thesis statement? Preliminary means to start. So what is the idea that you are having to start this whole process? Now you get into the paper itself. As you can see, once again, I have it broken down. Introduction, single paragraph. Background is going to be a paragraph. Comparing perspectives is going to be 2 paragraphs minimum. Exploratory synthesis, 1 paragraph minimum. And then your conclusion is going to come in here with 1 paragraph, okay? So let's go back up to the top and take a look. What would your attention getter be? What are you going to try to convince me, your reader, to really be passionate about your topic, okay? You had to pick a debatable or controversial topic. So can you explain to me what your topic is and how it is indeed controversial? Because maybe I don't understand it, okay? And then, as you can see here, I even put it in all caps here. I want a thesis question. I can tell exactly who watches the video and who pays attention to all of this material because when I get the paper in for Unit 2, if the end of your introduction is a declarative sentence, you don't do well on the paper. If it is indeed an interrogative sentence or a question, then obviously you're paying attention. So, what beginning question can you ask where your previously stated thesis statement becomes one logical answer? So my idea would be if I was writing a paper on on the overly bright LED headlights in cars, maybe my thesis question would be, should the United States government step in and limit the brightness of these LED headlights to avoid motor vehicle accidents? Okay, great. I'm asking should. There's 2 sides to that. No, the government should not step in. Yes, the government should absolutely step in. It's opening it up to compare these ideas. See what I'm talking about? Okay, so ask a question there. Then, for your background, you're basically going to give an overall understanding of the 2 sources that you found. Okay? What is the title of the article? Who are the authors in it? What is the year of publication? What is the major purpose? Remember, we talk about major purposes here. I want you to remember PI. That is persuade, inform, or entertain. What is the major purpose here? Is it persuasion, information, or entertaining? Okay? Here's a quick hint. If it's not persuasive or informative, you got the wrong source. Okay? Then, I want you to give the main ideas of that article. Tell me a few of them. You're going to write a quick little summary to tell me what that article is all about so I know what we're talking about, okay? You're going to do that for the first article, and it's so nice you're going to want to do it twice, so the second article is going to get the same treatment. Understand? Excellent. Let's take this out before it saves. Boom. Okay. Then, what's some information for the reader that they might not know, but they might need to know to truly understand your overall argument? Don't assume that your reader has the same experience level that you do for your topic. So what might you need to look up so you can inform your reader so they don't have to look it up themselves? What are some key concepts or some shared information that go into this? What are some ideas that are going to come up over and over again that your reader would need to know? Okay. Once we're through that, we get into the comparing perspectives section. This is directly from the organizer you did last week. The Unit 2 Article Selection and Comparing Author Perspectives brainstorming document. You turned it in. I went through it. I commented on it. I graded it. You're going to have 2 of the points that you use. You gave me 3, remember? You're going to give me 2 of the points. 1 goes here. 1 goes here. And then, what is the evidence from the first article that answers this question? What is the evidence from the second article that answers this question? And then, as you go through it, how can you look at those 2 pieces of evidence from the competing articles? And it might be several pieces, by the way, maybe not just 1 and 1. You might have 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, or 3 and 2. I don't know. But looking at all that evidence, how might you come up with new ideas to tie them together, to kind of weave them into an idea of your own? Okay? You're going to do this for question 1, and then you're going to do that again for question 2. Now, you had to do 3 questions for your organizer originally. I want you to pick your 2 strongest. All right? Exploratory synthesis section. This is the most important paragraph of the entire semester. And honestly, it's probably not going to be a single paragraph. It's probably going to be more than that. But it is the most important one, because now this is where you get to show me that you are thinking, that you are generating your own ideas, okay? So what are your thoughts on the argument? What did you think about this argument prior to taking this on? What were your knee-jerk reactions to this? What thoughts do you have now? How has that changed? Has it changed? Did you just lock it in, or did you change your mind? Did you go into a different direction? Has your mind been changed by any new material? If so, what was that material? What happened? If not, why not? Do you think there's anything that you could find that would sway you or change your mind? Do you have any personal experience or knowledge of this topic prior to this class? If so, how did that information change the direction of your thought? If not, why'd you select this topic to begin with? Now, really quickly, very important here, okay? If you're picking a topic that is very personal, I am not for a second asking you to share things that you wouldn't normally share. I'm not going to tell you that your grade is based around you being completely and totally open and honest with everybody. If there are things that you just want to keep to yourself, then you, by God, keep them to yourself. But if there's something in there that you can communicate that you're not too upset about, this is the place to do it, okay? Finally, ask yourself if there's any further research needed. Did you get everything you needed, or do you think you need to reach out more? Here's a quick hint. There's always further research needed. Then we finish up with our conclusion. Call to action. What do you want your readers to know, to see, or to do with your topic? And then, remember way up here, we talked a lot about the thesis question? Answer this question in this box for the thesis statement. Okay? This way, you can take this and take it right to Unit 3 and say, this is what I'm going to argue and this is what my paper's about. And then, of course, do your best to create 2 references, 1 for each source. Make sense? And that's it, right? Once you're done this, upload it, and you're good to go. This is not an easy assignment. It's not going to be one that you can knock out in 15 minutes. This is one that you're going to have to work on. And I would recommend starting maybe on a Tuesday and work on it until Friday. Give it a little bit of time here and there, okay? So that's it. It wasn't the shortest video, but there was a lot to get through. It was important. I'll shut up now. I hope everyone has a great week. Please feel free to reach out to me early in the week for help. I say early because I don't want you to have to be frustrated when you email me Saturday night or worse yet, Sunday night, and I don't get back to you until Monday. Stay safe, and I hope you had a solid Valentine's Day. Under 20 minutes. See ya.